Welcome back. So South Africa is today commemorating the 30th anniversary of anti-apartheid activist Chris Hani's assassination.
The Communist Party leader was killed by a Polish immigrant, Janusz Walus, on this day in 1993.
ANC leadership is, of course, joining the SACP leadership as well in the commemoration in Boksburg. We're bringing you live visuals now, as you can see on the screen there, of some of the leaders of the SACP and the ANC starting to arrive there for the wreath-laying session. We did see, and I'm sure you can see there, the president of the SACP, Bladen Zimande. Behind him, we know that we are also seeing that Chris Hani's widow, Hani, is behind there as well, and she's making her way up the stairs. She's, of course, flanked by the first Deputy Secretary General of the African National Congress, Nomvula Mokonyane, as well as the Arts and Culture and Sports Minister, Zizi Kodwa. We see the Premier of the province of Gauteng as well, also there, as they come to lay their wreaths, and pay their respects to Chris Hani on the anniversary of his assassination.
And of course, this anniversary commemoration coming after that CC meeting that the Communist Party had, where they reiterated the call to have an inquiry into the assassination of Chris Hani. They still believe that Janusz Walus didn't come clear about who exactly hired him, considering that he is an immigrant who was hired or who came to South Africa to come and execute the assassination of Chris Hani. Of course, Clive W. Lewis was also convicted for Chris Hani's murder.
Yeah, when you think about that murder, of course, it obviously takes you back to this fateful day back in 1993. 30 years already having passed since on this day, Chris Hani was gunned down outside of his home in Boksburg. Images that I think are, still stuck in the memories of many South Africans who can remember that day. Someone who was held very close in the hearts of many South Africans, especially in the lead up to or in the struggle towards freedom in South Africa.
Very interesting, the point that was made earlier on as well, Naledi, as Samkelo was speaking to the EFF as well as the ANC in Ekurhuleni, because remember that following the motion of no confidence in Tanya Campbell, it was decided and eventually elected that the AIC will have the mayoral seat, which it currently has, and it was only the EFF MMCs that were sworn in. The ANC obviously not part of that. But to the point that Samkelo was raising is around service delivery, and many people asking themselves that if Chris Hani was alive today, what would he have said about the state of governance in the country, but also the state of service delivery? That while the fight and the battle for freedom was around political emancipation, it was also about improving the lives of ordinary South Africans, and some of those South Africans today taking to the streets, protesting against the poor service delivery.
Yeah, certainly a lot of questions as well around what he'd say about the relationship between the African National Congress and the South African Communist Party. I think that's obviously a really big talking point. Just this morning, we're hearing reports that the SACP is asking for a renewed inquest into Chris Hani's killing. What would that look like? But what does the future look like for this alliance of the SACP and the ANC, as well as COSATU, where we certainly have seen some rifts between their calls even for SACP to stand on its own in the ballot papers next year in the national elections?
Yeah, I actually remember the 2017 Congress of the SACP. I remember that there was a period where the SACP as well as COSATU had decided that they will not allow former President Jacob Zuma to be addressing their events, and it was the then Deputy President of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, who was allowed to speak at those events, and at one of those congresses as well. That's where that point came out, that the SACP should be allowed to go and contest the elections or contest the state power, as they put it. And that only transpired in an area in the Free State near Parys, where the SACP then contested those by-elections there and secured a couple of seats. But of course, it led to some level of divisions within the SACP as well as the ANC in the Free State. And later on, the SACP didn't follow through on that promise to contest for state power. And this was, of course, after what had transpired at the ANC's Nasrec conference, where Cyril Ramaphosa was elected the president of the ANC.
Yeah. Quite a thing to see the widow of Chris Hani walking alongside ANC leadership like that calmly. I think the last time we saw prominent images of her was after the granting of the parole of Janusz Walus. And of course, she was beyond irate. I mean, some of those visuals having gone viral as she really expressed her anger and dissatisfaction at the decision to grant her husband's killer parole. As they get closer and closer to laying those wreaths, we'll bring you more of those. Images. But stay with us as we bring you those commemorations as well throughout the day.